Chapter 8 of The People of the Crater by Andre Norton. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 8 Escape from the Caves. Keeping his eyes upon those soulless yellow discs, Garin snatched off his hood, wadding it into a ball. Then he sprang. His fingers slipped on smooth hide. Sharp fangs ripped his forearm, blunt nails scraped his ribs. A foul breath puffed into his face, and warm slaver trickled down his neck and chest. But his plan succeeded. The cap was wedged into the Morgel's throat, and the beast was slowly choking. Blood dripped from the flyer's torn flesh, but he held on grimly until he saw the light fade from those yellow eyes. The dying Morgel made a last mad plunge for freedom, dragging his attacker along the rock floor. Then Garin felt the heaving body rest limply against his own. He staggered against the wall, panting. "Garin!" cried Thrala. Her questing hand touched his shoulder and crept to his face. "It is well with you?" "Yes," he panted. "Let us go on." Thrala's fingers had lingered on his arm, and now she walked beside him, her cloak making whispering sounds as it brushed against the wall and floor. "Wait," she cautioned suddenly. "The Morgel pit." Danton slipped by them. "I will try the door." In a moment he was back. "It is open," he whispered. "Kepta believes," mused Thrala, "that we will keep to the safety of the gallery. Therefore let us go through the pit. The Morgels will be gone to better hunting grounds." Through the pit they went. A choking stench arose from underfoot, and they trod very carefully. They climbed the stairs on the far side unchallenged, Danton leading. "The rod here, Garin," he called. "This door is barred." Garin pressed the weapon into the other's hand and leaned against the rock. He was sick and dizzy. The long, deep wounds on his arm and shoulders were stiffening and ached with a biting throb. When they went on, he panted with effort. They still moved in darkness, and his distress passed unnoticed. "This is wrong," he muttered, half to himself. "We go too easily." And he was answered out of the blackness. "Well noted, Outlander. But you go free for the moment, as does Thrala and Danton. Our full accounting is not yet. And now, farewell, until we meet again in the Hall of Thrones. I would find it in me to applaud your courage, Outlander. Perhaps you will come to serve me yet." Garin turned and threw himself toward the voice, bringing up with bruising force against rock wall. Kepta laughed. "Not with the skill of the Bull Tand will you capture me." His second laugh was cut cleanly off, as if a door had been closed. In silence the three hurried up the ramp. Then, as though through a curtain, they came into the light of Tav. Thrala let fall her drab cloak, stood with arms outstretched in the craterland. Her sparkling robe sheathed her in glory, and she sang softly, wrapped in her own delight. Then Danton put his arm about her. She clung to him, staring about as might a beauty-bewildered child. Garin wondered dully how he would be able to make the journey back to the caverns when his arm and shoulder were eaten with consuming fire. The Ana crept closer to him, peering into his white face. They were aroused by a howl from the caves. Thrala cried out, and Danton answered her unspoken question. "They have set the Morgels on our trail." The howl from the caves was echoed from the forest. Morgels before and behind them. Garin might set himself against one, Danton against another, and Thrala could defend herself with a rod, but in the end the pack would kill them. "We shall claim protection from the Gibi of the cliff. By the law they must give us aid," said Thrala, as, turning up her long robe, she began to run lightly. Garin picked up her cloak and drew it across his shoulder to hide his welts. When he could no longer hold her pace, She must not guess the reason for his falling behind. Of that flight through the forest the flyer afterward remembered little. At last the gurgle of water broke upon his pounding ears, as he stumbled along a good 10 lengths behind his companions. They had come to the edge of the wood along the banks of the river. Without hesitation, Thrala and Danton plunged into the oily flood, swimming easily for the other side. Garin dropped the cloak, wondering if, once he stepped into the yellow stream, he would ever be able to struggle out again. Already the Anna was in, paddling in circles near the shore and pleading with him to follow. Wearily, Garin waded out. The water, which washed the blood and sweat from his aching body, was faintly brackish and stung his wounds to life. He could not fight the sluggish current, and it bore him downstream, well away from where the others landed. But at last he managed to win free, crawling out near where a smaller stream joined the river. There he lay panting, face down upon the moss. And there they found him, water dripping from his bedraggled finery, the Anna stroking his muddied hair. Thrala cried out with concern and pillowed his head on her knees while Danton examined his wounds. "Why did you not tell us?" demanded Thrala. He did not try to answer, content to lie there, her arms supporting him. Danton disappeared into the forest, returning soon, his hands filled with a mass of crushed leaves. With these he plastered Garin's wounds. "You'd better go on," Garin warned. Danton shook his head. "The Margils cannot swim. If they cross, they must go to the bridge, and that is half the crater away." The Anna dropped into their midst, its small hands filled with clusters of purple fruit. And so they feasted, Garin at ease on a fern couch, accepting food from Thrala's hand. There seemed to be some virtue in Danton's leaf plaster, for, after a short rest, Garin was able to get to his feet with no more than a twinge or two in his wounds. But they started on at a more sober pace. Through mossy glens and sunlit glades, where strange flowers made perfume, the trail led. The stream they followed branched twice before, on the edge of meadowland, they struck away from the guiding water toward the crater wall. Suddenly, Thrala threw back her head and gave a shrill, sweet whistle. Out of the air dropped a yellow and black insect as large as a hawk. Twice it circled her head, and then perched itself on her outstretched wrist. Its swollen body was jet black, its curving legs, 3 to a side, chrome yellow. The round head ended in a sharp beak, and it had large, many-faceted eyes. The wings, which lazily tested the air, were black and touched with gold. Thrala rubbed the round head while the insect nuzzled affectionately at her cheek. Then she held out her wrist again, and it was gone. "We shall be expected now, and may pass unmolested." Slowly they became aware of a murmuring sound. The crater wall loomed ahead, dwarfing the trees at its base. "This is the city of the Gibbie," remarked Danton. Clinging to the rock were the towers and turrets of many 8-sided cells. "They are preparing for the mists," observed Thrala. "We shall have company on our journey to the caverns." They passed the trees and reached the foot of the wax skyscrapers, which towered dizzily above their heads. A great cloud of the Gibbie hovered about them. Garin felt the soft brush of their wings against his body, and they crowded each other jealously to be near Thrala. The soft hush-hush of their wings filled the clearing as one large Gibbie of outstanding beauty approached. The commoners fluttered off, and Thrala greeted the queen of the cells as an equal. Then she turned to her companions with the information the Gibbie queen had to offer. "We are just in time. Tomorrow the Gibbie leave. The Margils have crossed the river and are out of control. Instead of hunting us, they have gone to ravage the forest lands. All Tav has been warned against them, but they may be caught by the mist and so destroyed. We are to rest in the cliff hollows, and one shall come for us when it is time to leave." The Gibbie withdrew to the cell-combs after conducting their guests to the rock hollows. End of Chapter 8.